Let's solve some MCQs on reflection. Now the first question is that the coordinates of the point P minus 3 comma 5 on reflecting on the x-axis are which of the following. So this is a very basic question. The point P minus 3 comma 5 is given. Now if I want to reflect it on the x-axis, according to the concept, you can think that the y coordinates sign will change. At any point when reflected on the x-axis, the coordinates of the image will have the same x coordinate, so same x coordinate minus 3, but the sign of the y coordinate will change. Suppose here the object P had y coordinate 5, positive 5, so its image y coordinate will be negative 5, and we can easily get the answer. But in case you don't want to memorize it like this, what you can do for this question, it's an MCQ, you don't need a graph paper as such, just you can draw a rough graph on your answer sheet. Just draw a rough graph, x and y axis, freehand is fine. For example, I have drawn here, I have drawn it according to scale, but it's not required, just for understanding. Suppose if we want to plot the point P, which is minus 3 comma 5, starting from the origin, 3 units on the left is minus 3 and 5 units on the top is 5. So this point is P, which is minus 3 comma 5. Now we are reflecting point P on the x-axis. So we can imagine that the x-axis will act as a mirror. So let's imagine that this x-axis is now acting as a mirror. So my object is at point P with coordinates minus 3 comma 5. X-axis is my mirror and it's a plane mirror. So if you remember the laws of reflection, for a plane mirror, the object distance is always equal to the image distance. So suppose the object here is 5 units on top of the mirror. So this is 5 units on top of the mirror. So the image will be formed behind the mirror and 5 units behind the mirror. So if I go 5 units behind the mirror, so this is 5 units, I will reach this point. So this is the reflected point, let's call it P dash, and its x coordinate is still the same. It is 3 units on the left from the origin, so it is minus 3, but it is now 5 units below the origin also, so the y coordinate is minus 5. So the reflected point, the image coordinate is minus 3 comma minus 5. Moving ahead to the next MCQ. So this question is regarding invariant point. They are saying that the point 3 comma 0 is invariant under reflection in which of the following. So the meaning of invariant point is that if I have an object and some mirror, and if I see that after reflection the reflected point is the same as the location of the object, it has not changed, so that is known as an invariant point. And that happens when, suppose we have a mirror and the object is on the mirror itself, then the image will also be formed on the mirror. For example, if you have a mirror at home, if you touch the mirror with the tip of your finger, then the image of the tip of your finger will be formed exactly on the mirror itself. Is that logic? Or you can say that if object distance is 0, then image distance is also 0. Now suppose point 3 comma 0 is somewhere over here. This is point 3 comma 0. Let's say it is P. And now suppose if I look at the options given under reflection and what. Suppose we are reflecting it about the origin. The origin is over here. So imagine that the origin is now acting as a mirror. Object is at 3 comma 0. So the image will be formed 3 units on the other side. Right now point P is 3 units on the right of the origin, so the image will be formed 3 units on the left of the origin. But we see that the image is now changing. it becomes minus 3 comma 0. So I don't say that that is invariant. So if I take the x-axis, the next option, as the mirror, and my object is at P. So suppose x-axis is acting as my mirror and my object is at P itself, then so this is my object at P and this is my mirror. So the image will again be formed at the same place. Image will also be formed at 3 comma 0. The object distance is 0, so the image distance is also 0. So therefore I will say option B is correct, that 3 comma 0 is invariant under reflection in the x-axis. If I had looked at y-axis, again for y-axis, if I imagine y-axis as my mirror, then my object is at P 3 comma 0 and my image will be formed 3 units on the other side behind the mirror. So my object image will be, the image will be at minus 3 comma 0, which is changing, so it is not invariant. So here x-axis is the correct answer. Moving ahead to the next question, it's again about invariant points. So a point A, P comma Q is invariant about x equal to P under reflection. The coordinate of its image A dash is which of the following? Now here P and Q are not given, you can assume some values just for convenience. Let's imagine that P value is 1, so we have 1 and Q value is 2. So let's say I have a point A 1 comma 2 and point A 1 comma 2 is invariant about the line x equal to 1 under reflection. So how does that look like? Suppose again in the rough graph, point A 1 comma 2 will be somewhere here and the line x equal to 1 is a line parallel to the y-axis and 1 unit to the right of the origin. So if I draw this line represents x equal to 1. Now imagine that I have my point A 1 comma 2 and this is my mirror. So the point is again lying on the mirror itself, so the reflection under this line will be invariant. So the image is also the same point, which is 1 comma 2. So now they're asking the coordinates of its image A dash. So the image A dash coordinates will be exactly the same as coordinates of A, which is P comma Q. So hence option C, A dash P comma Q, is the correct answer.